Good afternoon. Welcome to this Old Goat Tarot. My name is Anne. If you're new to my channel, this is a Capricorn only channel. I myself am a Capricorn sun. So definitely, if you're here, check your placements, sun, moon, and rising. Um, Perhaps there's a message here that is for you, or perhaps you're a cross watcher. Welcome. It is about 1:54 in the afternoon here on the East Coast, Eastern Standard Time, and it is February 26th. So this reading today is going to be about what do Capricorns need to know, need to learn. We're going to ask her to show us what it is we need to take away as we prepare for the new moon tomorrow in Pisces. It's an exciting time, very powerful time, especially for mutable signs. Now, as you know, Capricorns, we are cardinal, a cardinal sign, but we might have additional placements in mutable signs. And this particular new moon will impact mutable signs a little bit more. So first off, what does mutable even mean? If you're new to astrology, new to tarot, there's so much synchronicity between the two. I can't read tarot without considering and sort of meditating on what's happening in the cosmos above. So with that, mutable. Mutable is the ability to change, to transition, not having sort of clear boundaries, and also sort of the ending. There is 4 mutable signs. Pisces is a mutable sign because it marks the end of the winter season and the beginning of spring. So in about 2 weeks, we will be coming up on the full moon, and this is a very special full moon. Full moon it's actually an eclipse, a blood moon in lunar eclipse in the sign of Virgo. So very powerful energy all combined in the next 2 weeks, but it's also marking the spring equinox is coming. So very exciting. I can't wait. So therefore, I think it's important that we kind of take a look and take a pause because there is so much going on. What can we learn about this time? Mutable signs include Pisces because it's the end of winter, Gemini marking the end of spring, transitioning into summer, Virgo, which is the end of summer, coming of the fall, and Sagittarius, which is the end of the fall, coming of winter. So really important times of the year for mutable signs. We can learn so much about sort of taking and looking back at everything we've learned over the course of a season and sort of putting that nice closure, if you will, for ourselves to look back and where our soul has grown, where we've been, what we've learned, and having sort of that lens of true just observation, not to judge ourselves, not to overinflate maybe something that has occurred, but rather, hey, taking, like, imagine yourself, right? If you are looking as a sun sign, taking yourself out of this avatar for a moment and thinking, what can I take away from this season? What do we have to learn from it? Where did we grow? What lessons are there for us? What do we no longer want to take with us in the next season? So mutable signs have so much power. I myself, my moon is a Sagittarius, and my rising sign is a Scorpio. So I do have that emotional energy, that lifeblood in me from a mutable energy as well that sort of combines with my sun sign energy of the Capricorn. I would love to know, do you have any mutable sign placements, specifically Pisces, because we are in Pisces season right now. This particular new moon, though, is an opportunity to see that blurry line. I did a video a few weeks ago on the beginning of Pisces season and what it can teach us as Capricorns. And that still very much rings true for this new moon. What do we want to manifest in these last few weeks here of Pisces season as we move into this powerful lunar eclipse cycle? And when we think about Pisces season, we can go deep within ourselves. One thing I have been sort of meditating and reflecting on the last few days has been this concept of oneness. It's this idea of I am Anne, the wife, the mother, etc. It's that space between the I am and whatever else we might be in our lives. I have researched this as well. Some people can use the concept of, a baby in the womb and the amniotic fluid. It's sort of that liminal space, that very where it has no boundaries, no beginning, no end. That's where this energy exists, this concept of oneness and looking within ourselves, not necessarily just here, I am this being here on earth. I'm also, my soul is that which is above, right? It's this concept of both and keeping that concept that we are all one together, and not being so focused necessarily on outcomes. And this is something I've been really feeling lately, but it's more so being focused on just being along the journey. How can we live our most joyous lives? And is what we are doing right now the best experience, the best expression of this life that we could live in the here and now? Not necessarily what's going to come tomorrow, or perhaps the path in front of us may be a little bit misleading or we can't see because there's so much fog. But just to enjoy each step along the way and taking stock of, okay, this makes sense. Or perhaps we went down a corridor that didn't make a lot of sense and we have to turn around. That's okay. That's still something that we learned, that which our soul does not prefer. So I think it's important to reflect on that as we walk into this new moon, and to let go. Perhaps hold space for that which we've learned that we do not necessarily enjoy, or that which we do no longer prefer, and let that go without any sort of judgment, and holding space for ourselves. But at the same time, taking stock of the future, and not in I've got to do this, I've got to do that, or I want to get promoted this year, or we're going to get that house this year. Rather, thinking of it more in the eyes of a child, that inner child of, I wonder, what if I was to start that book that I've been meaning to read, or I wonder what if I was to ask that person out for dinner. Whatever that is, that's where all of this energy starts in the beginning of manifestation. And so that's where we can really tap into the oneness, I believe. That's where I believe. I would love to know what your interpretation of that is. And if you are liking what you're hearing, please hit that like and subscribe button. It helps the algorithm just allow this message to get across to more people and for the broader Capricorn collective. Today, if it is February 26th, 2025, if you add up all those digits in numerology, it adds up to a 10, which reduces to a 1 in numerology. Ones are an opportunity that 10 to 1. It's kind of the ending and the beginning. And I think that's so true to where we are today. We are just coming up on a new moon. And again, new moons, yes, we are followed by a full moon, and this particularly is a full moon eclipse in 2 weeks, which is a big release of energy, that waxing of energy. But also, 6 months later are really important, because 6 months from now we will have a full moon in Pisces, and at that time too can also be a marker, if you will, of where we've been, and having the ability to look back, something powerful that we may have been manifesting in the here and now. So we have sort of this opportunity tonight to think about it. I believe the full moon will be here between 7 and 8 tomorrow night on February 27th. So take this as an opportunity to hit the pause button, think about what's really important for you, and also where do you have to make space in your life so new stuff can come in? And so letting go and being comfortable with that release. So with that, today I will be reading a tarot reading for you today, and I will also be pulling from you the Wild Unknown Animal Spirit Deck and Guidebook, one of my favorites. We'll get an overall energy reading today from the Oracle message there. Additionally, we have the traditional tarot deck in both the modern take in the Christian Lightseers deck, as well as the traditional Rider-Waite. So with that, not everything will necessarily resonate. Take what does, leave the rest. And with that, we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you for being here. All right, so I have shuffled each deck 10 times to honor the number 10 for today's numbers. I didn't want to just do one. I think 10 makes the most sense because we are coming up to an ending and the beginning, right? And so with that, these have been meditated upon. I do have represented here all of our 4 elements. We have water, we've got fire, we've got earth sign for us Capricorns, we've got some amethyst, we also have some protection with some selenium, and then also for an air sign, we will open our reading up with a loud sound of a bell. But before we do, I do want to clarify the energy in the room. Spirit angels and guides of our highest and best. What do we have to learn today for the Capricorn Collective as we approach this full moon in Pisces? What messages are here that serves only our highest and best? All right. So with that, we'll begin our reading. You will hear a loud bell. We have the Vulture card in reverse. It's the overall energy here. Take a minute to take a look at this particular card. I will be reading from the guidebook what message we have today. It is in the reversal position. So with that, and the other thing is, if you have either seen a vulture, whether in real life or in some capacity in a book or online, you can take that as a confirmation that there may be a message here for you today. That may be particularly relevant as well. All right. The guardian, the purifier, essential for rebirth. That is what the air sign vulture in this particular deck is meant to teach us. You'll notice this symbol at the bottom here in the upright position. That is indicative of the air sign. The vulture is perhaps the most misunderstood creature of all. This intriguing bird balances our ecosystem and prevents the spread of disease. It does the dirty work that no one else wants to do and cleans up our messes. The vulture appears when there's a situation that needs to be purified or brought back into balance. Remember, the vulture is greatly undervalued. What you thought was a mistake or a tragedy is a blessing in disguise. When in balance, it clarifies and reveals wisdom. When out of balance, it can be a bit dramatic or aggressive. To bring back into balance, clean your space, use some sage. So, I think this is interesting that we got it in reverse. And my thought immediately went to the fact that we are just a few days away from February 23rd when Mars went direct. He's been in retrograde in Cancer since December 6th, and it is a sign of his detriment, first of all, and he was in retrograde. He's a planet of action. And on higher expression can motivate us. On the lower expression can represent aggression. And you also have to remember the sign of Cancer, I mentioned this in a few of my videos now, is the opposite of Capricorn. Polar opposite on the zodiac wheel. So Cancer is a water sign, and we are in Pisces season as well. a very emotional energy that's somewhat hard for Capricorns to sometimes identify with. And the fact that Mars was in this retrograde, or perhaps you may have found the last few months just being hard to start anything, or maybe you've had some false starts. That's where I'm sort of getting this upside down feeling. And you got to remember when he turns direct, and I have felt it's been slightly refreshing as of this weekend. I think it was on Saturday. Or maybe it was Sunday or Saturday. It was the 23rd. I have felt a little bit more motivated to do things. I've seen the sun come out outside, even though it's still a little cold here in the Northeast. But I have been motivated to move forward. But I still feel not my entirely in my best. I've been a little emotional. I've had some outbursts with family members, etc. Even though Mars is in this stationary position right now and he's facing direct, he's not consistently sort of taking charge and moving forward. It's going to take a while to get back into the groove, and he's still in Cancer. So that's where I get this. Maybe you might be feeling a little out of balance as well. We have to remember, though, that the energy that I think Spirit is trying to tell us is that we need to tap into this vulture energy of rebirth, of the ability for the vulture to come and sort of clean up, dust things off and just, pinpoint and sort of cherry pick what is needed for our highest and best, but then to sort of keep on flying to the next opportunity. Don't look back, don't sit and have regrets. And that's what I think what we're being called to do. But if you do find yourself feeling a little this tension, this aggression, this feeling that it's just taking a while to get things started, perhaps there was a pause, the feeling like some hangman energy, if you think about the tarot, that's what I've been feeling lately. I would love to know what you think of this as well. All right, so let's go ahead and continue the reading. All right, so I do a 3-card spread and bottom of the deck. Spirit, angels, and guides of our highest and best. What does the Capricorn collective need to know about recent, past, current energy, and either advice or the future? We did pull the 7 of Wands in this recent energy. Wands, remember, is a fire, representative of fire signs. We pulled the Knight of Wands, the current energy. We are pulling the Major Arcana, the Chariot, and future energy, but it was in reverse. Bottom of the deck, we have the 4 of Swords in reverse. Okay, interesting. Okay. If you have seen some of my other videos, I'm not surprised that we have so many wands here, all this fire energy. The Chariot can sometimes be representative of, we have this polarity here. We have the black horse, the white horse. And of course we've got this 4 of Swords in reverse, which I think is interesting. So typically the 4 of Swords energy, if you think about it, is meant to be a pause, a rest. And I was just talking about this hangman feeling, but maybe Spirit is sort of clarifying that energy a little bit more. And maybe it's an opportunity that we are out of balance because we're facing a little bit of burnout. 4s are usually about stability. The higher expression, the lower expression is the inability to let go. And you'll notice in the traditional tarot, it's also someone sort of laying down where there's a sword with him and there's 3 swords above him, taking a breather. And I think what Spirit is trying to tell us is that we need to take a pause to tap into this dreamlike energy. We can't keep resisting it as Capricorns. It's somewhat hard. We're so used to having structure and having 2 feet on the ground and keep moving forward, climbing that mountain. But that's right now we're being called to take that pause. And because we're sort of resisting it and not going with the flow of the energy of the season, we might find ourselves in this unbalanced energy where instead of us benefiting from any sort of rebirth and being able to pinpoint those moments of joy, the in between, the space of that oneness of that energy between one thing to the next, and pausing and reflecting and just being, might be feeling a little bit of that aggression and that tension. And so therefore our spirit is asking us that we do need to take that pause. We can't keep fighting it, even though we want progress. We can't keep fighting it. If we want to move forward, we have to tap into that dreamlike energy. It's not wasted energy. It's very, very important. That dreamlike energy, the opportunity to imagine, the opportunity to wonder and just reflect in the quiet, that is just as important as taking action. And so we need that balance. And so where we think we need to charge forward, that's where I think the energy is asking us to take a pause and to reflect and to put ourselves back into balance before we can move forward. And I am also getting that too, because we have this chariot in reverse here, and we'll talk about that shortly. But let's go ahead and get some clarifiers, spirit angels and guides of our highest and best. What does the Capricorn collective need to know about the Seven of Wands in the upright position? What do we need to know about the Seven of Wands? We've got the Queen of Cups sideways. Anything else? Anything else that we need to know about? Recent energy here about the Seven of Wands. The Seven of Wands upright. All right, we've got the Two of Wands in reverse. We've got the Queen sideways. Okay. So first off, recent past, like I said, this makes sense to me because we've had so many wand energy in recent readings. It is a fire sign. And we also have this Two of Wands in reverse from the Queen energy of this cup energy, this water energy sideways. Now, the fact that we have the Queen here sideways tells me that something may have been on the tipping point. It didn't necessarily go, worst case scenario that we may have thought it was going to go, but it wasn't necessarily the outcome we were hoping for, especially with this Two of Wands in reverse. This is sort of waiting here. He's got the world in front of him. Perhaps he's looking to travel, and it is in reverse. So whatever plans that we had been hoping to make did not go through in the way that we necessarily wanted them to come through. And that Queen is also, she's not quite on good footing in that sideways position. It could have meant there was some sort of damage in a way that in interpersonal relationships, maybe there was some sort of distrust, dishonesty, or we have some misgivings, but we don't know for sure. And given the fact that the Seven of Wands is here in the upright position, this feels very defensive energy, protecting. And we may feel justified in doing so too. So there's something here, perhaps we were tapping into that intuition where we didn't trust someone. We felt that we needed to get into more of this defensive energy to protect our peace. And because we had to take that step, it did have a consequence, which whatever it was that we were learning, whatever it was that we were going after, it didn't necessarily come through in the way that we were hoping it was going to come through. And that Two of Wands in reverse can indicate sort of this chaotic energy. You know, this guy in the upright position, he has the world in front of him. He knows where he's going. He has a plan. He's sort of kind of thinking about, when am I going to start? And the fact that it's in reverse, whatever it was that we had to fall into this defensive energy because perhaps there was some distrust, there was something that didn't sit well with us, that we had some sort of misgiving, our plans all of a sudden went haywire. And that makes sense just because I feel this free-for-all energy that we are in Pisces season. There could be a lesson here that we need to take away. So even though we are in a defensive position and we're leaning on that intuitive energy, with the Queen of Cups here in this, sideways position, maybe there was some thoughts here that there was some disloyalty, distrust. I almost feel that because the Two of Wands is in reverse, there might be something that is teaching us that we need to be comfortable with things not always going the way that we planned for them to go, if that makes sense. And being okay with that and being secure with that. That's the message that I'm taking away from this, is that it's okay if we need to take a step back to protect our peace and to lean on that intuitive energy. That's actually a good thing. I don't read that as a bad thing. I think that's just, it means that we're honoring that almost. I'm getting the High Priestess energy a bit with this Queen of Wands in the sideways position, but not necessarily that we could prove that we were hurt, but there could have been something there that could have hurt us. And because of that, though, it feels uncomfy, especially as Capricorns, when we're so used to having things planned and our plans go south. We're still may have been lingering, and we have this, I don't know, this taste in our mouth of like, oh, my plans, everything that I thought was going to go a certain way didn't necessarily go the way I wanted it to. But we still have here this this Knight of Wands in the upright position. And she's joyous. She's got that horse in the background. And I think that there might be an element of surprise here. Something that, even though it didn't necessarily go the way we wanted it to go, we may have felt a little bit of this free fall energy, this chaotic energy, that the ability to pivot, and that's where we are right now. And I think that's what Spirit's trying to say, is we approach this full moon that we need to be comfortable with the unknown, being comfortable with leveraging that intuitive wisdom, that knowing energy that something was wrong or something could be right. And by doing that, I believe that that's where we're going to find that sense of charisma, that passion, that adventure, if you will, that ability to step outside of sort of our comfort zone as Capricorns. But let's get some clarity. Why is the Knight of Wands here in the upright position in the current energy as we approach this full moon? Ooh, we've got the sun. It flew out in the upright position. Might be a little bit of a confirmation of what I was getting into. We also have the Three of Pentacles in the upright position as well, which goes this way. Came up. Okay, so over here, we were kind of left scratching our heads. Something didn't feel right. We listened to our intuition, which is good. This is a really good thing, as opposed to like the logical brain. We tapped into that. But, you know, the result here is this wake of like, oh, now what am I going to do? The plans didn't work out. And the Knight of Wands is saying like, hey, don't feel that you have to look external for the next step. It's internal. What floats our boat? What gets us going? What brings us that joy? And by tapping into that joy and letting go of whatever logical plan and saying, hey, this no longer served us, because if we continue to do that relationship of whatever it was going to happen, whoever it involved, whether it was a company, a job, etc., it would have led to heartache and sorrow. And that's what the Queen was trying to tell us here. But that free-for-all energy isn't a bad thing. It should be something that we're learning to go with that fluid motion, that water motion. And it's interesting because I just had this download where thinking about the fire sign and the fact that water is sort of the opposite of fire. And so the fact that it's in reverse, it's like sort of cancels each other out. And water is sort of trumping this and saying, hey, that the plan wasn't meant to continue. We did the right thing here. But we're going to get that spark back, that passion, and we're going to not necessarily do so, but that oneness energy of really looking within ourselves about what floats are, but we're going to get that happy ending, but we're going to do it. It looks like there's something here with someone in our life. Maybe it's a spouse, maybe it's a significant other, perhaps it is a close friend, but whatever it is, I think there's something here we're meant to share with others. Whether it's whatever this passion is, it could be something new that we want to pursue, but it's going to give us great joy. It's something that really is a part of ourselves. It's a part of our soul. It's something that we've found recently, something that we've learned over the last few months. But we can't like hold it inside. We need to share it. It's meant to be to collectively and to collaborate with others so they can partake in this as well. But I think it's only going to come through if we're honest with ourselves and understand what it is, and to sort of set aside whatever plan what we thought was going to be. We no longer have to defend it. Let's not waste the energy defending something anymore, because it's something that we don't need others' judgment on. It's meant to be let go. But then we have this, which was very curious, Major Arcana number 7, the Chariot. And it's interesting because we have a little bit of synchronicity. We have the 7 of Wands, and we have the 7, the 7 as the Chariot. Why is the 7 of the Chariot here? What do we have to learn about the 7 in reverse? We've got the 6 of Wands in the upright position. Another wand energy, a lot of fire here today. What else do we need to learn about the Chariot energy? Spirit, angels, and guides. Only of our highest and best. What do we have to learn today from this Chariot? Only 1 or 2 cards. What are the Queen of Swords in reverse? Okay. All right. Just thinking about this for a minute. Something is unsettled. Something's unknown here. And in the upright position, this is fast-moving energy. This is energy that involves us not looking back, moving forward. But I don't think that that's what we're supposed to be doing, and just running into something necessarily with this full moon. There's something here we're supposed to be doing with other people. And right now, I feel that we've learned a good lesson, which took a lot of strength, hope, and courage to let go of something. And now we're sort of finding ourselves, but we're doing so with others, and we're sharing that piece of ourselves. We're being vulnerable with other people. But because of that, it's slowed us down a little bit. And maybe that's also what this is trying to say. We're not doing this, and we should be doing this. We need to take the pause. And again, we're not necessarily taking the moment. We're not in balance, so we can't necessarily move forward yet. We're supposed to take that pause. That's what I'm getting. And that's okay. That's what this season is meant to teach us. That is okay. And because it's okay, we've got this 6 of Wands. We're going to be successful. That we need to be okay with the fact that it might feel that we might be going back in time a bit. Back to something that we forgot. Something from our childhood That's what I'm getting. Something that gave us great joy, but we have to relearn it. And because we're going to relearn it using the help of others, I feel that we're gonna end up with this victorious energy. We're gonna sort of come back. We're gonna come back to the people that we once, who knew us in a certain light, who may have remembered this aspect of ourselves, and now, because we let it go in some capacity, and now we're revisiting that space of ourselves, and we are in that joy energy. Because we're doing that, I think that's where we're getting victorious. That's where we're getting other people sort of, it's almost like stepping back and being like, oh, you know, I remember when she used to do that when she was young. I remember she used to love to sing. And then she went off to college, or she got into high school or whatever it was, and she stopped singing. And now she's singing again. And it sounds lovely. Where has this been our entire lives? And sort of other people sort of fawning over you in a capacity because they almost wish that they could tap into that energy themselves, because they're still struggling. They're still looking for that joy, that energy. And because we've shared it with them, they sort of see this, but we couldn't do it by just moving forward and by ourselves in some sort of gallop. We needed to pause. We needed to find our self-confidence again. And by doing so, other people could sit and they're sort of relishing in the fact that we have this joy. We were able to tap into this energy. But we've got this Queen of Swords here that's very, very curious. Why is it in reverse? It's very curious to me as to why it's at sort of the end of this reading. Also, the fact that we have this energy here presiding over us today that's telling us that this new moon is asking us that we are on the point of burnout. I feel that we need a little bit more clarity here, because that Queen of Swords is typically about very intelligent. She's in the upright position. It's air energy as well. She's looking forward. She's not looking at us. She's like very comfortable cutting things out, using the logical mind to say, this doesn't make sense. A perfect balance between sort of that intuitive energy and that logical energy, making room for things, but we're not there yet. But yet we have this victory. Spirit, angels, and guides of our highest and best. Why is the Queen of Wands here in reverse? Especially with this new moon. What do we have to learn from this? I'm definitely hearing my guides are telling us that we are in burnout. And that's something, and maybe it's more of a warning here. That because especially the energy with when you get to a new moon, it's energy that's building. It's waxing energy to this blood moon, this full moon eclipse in 2 weeks. I believe it's March 14th in Virgo, and the fact that we're unbalanced right now. Again, Mars still in Cancer, but he is moving forward. But we might be trying too hard, and that's maybe what it is. We can't move forward because this Chariot here wants to move forward, but we are on burnout, and because we aren't taking that pause. We've done the work here to identify ourselves. We've built this connection to others, and we're not moving forward here. We're not getting. I guess this is the potential, right? This is the potential. We have this victorious energy here for us, but and people will fawn over us. People will see this passion, but because we're at a risk of all this heavy energy, by us not taking the moment to sit and to take the rest, for us to reflect and to take the pieces, that vulture energy, and then again another air energy. I think it echoes this Queen of Swords a little bit. One more card. Just a little bit of clarity on this Queen of Swords in reverse. Why is the Queen of Swords with the Chariot? Why is this energy here? Why is this in our potential future? We've got the Emperor in reverse. Okay. So there's something here in this reading today that I'm getting. I think we're in a good spot right now, a really good spot. We've learned this lesson of Pisces energy, to accept this very nebulous, no beginnings, no endings. You know, the water doesn't have, an ocean doesn't have corners. It just moves. And being able to dwell in that space, and by doing that and just sort of tapping into what it is that makes us true and whole and happy at our soul level, we did so by pulling in other people, and we were vulnerable, and that felt good. But maybe right now it's sort of, well, what's next? And we're starting to get to a point where we go and go and go, and there's a warning here that if we don't pause, if we don't take the moment, we're not necessarily going to get to this place where people can see that happiness all over us. We're not going to step into our power. We're going to be imbalanced. And that's what I think it is. Stepping into our power, having this ability to have the balance between the earth and the air, this Queen of Swords, this Six of Wands energy, this passion of us being able to share that, of alchemize whatever was over here and to share that with others. I think that's in jeopardy right now. So with that said, I think that, to sum it up, I'm really getting this sense of we're on the right track as Capricorns. We have so much going for us. We've learned so much. We've come a long way. I don't know. I personally have felt that I've come a long way since the beginning of December. But because the energy is so heavy right now, there's so much going on in the macro environment around us, that if we don't take the moment to protect our own energy, and if we continue to just give and give and give to those around us, and maybe we are sharing our passion, and that's great, and being vulnerable, but if we do that without doing any sort of pause, we're going to burn out. And the momentum that we're hoping to achieve from this Mars finally going direct, feeling like we've been in molasses, the momentum won't pick up, because we're not, and we're not necessarily going to get to this opportunity of having people see all of this progress that we've made in ourselves. We're not, we're going to know it inside, but we're unable to sort of echo that out, that frequency, that vibration. People aren't going to see it. It might, frankly, peter out simply because we're not taking the moment to honor where we are from an energetic level. And so let's use this new moon to build in opportunities for self-care. Let's use this new moon to say, hey, meditation is just as important as going to the gym. The opportunity to just sit and to be okay in the space of nothingness, that's that oneness that we need to acknowledge, and to dream. I think there's always like a misnomer of this idea that, oh, don't be daydreaming. And as Capricorns, like, there's always been sort of some sort of negative connotation with that, of like daydreaming, or, oh, your head's in the clouds, right? This Queen of Swords, your head's in the clouds, but she's got a sword, right? I think we may have internalized that in a way, being Capricorns, because we are trying to climb that mountain too often, that's somehow negative. We put a value judgment on it. And I think that if we continue to do that, we're never going to get to the top of the mountain. We're not going to get that victory. Instead, we're just going to be sort of hindering, going around the mountain, around and around, and to the point where we do hit that exhaustion, that burnout, and our power, we're not going to step into our power. So it's a warning to leverage the power of the new moon. It's eclipse energy. It's a lot. And oftentimes there's a lot that we can control and alchemize, but when it comes to eclipses can cut things out of our life. So perhaps there's something here that even in our here and now that we don't see it. There's something that's compromising us. And I invite you to look deep within, and that's what Pisces season is all about, is looking deep, for that oneness. But there's something blocking it, and eclipses are meant to cut it out only for our highest and best. So perhaps it's not just a warning, but just more of a message to say that the universe is here to support us, and if we're unable to see that, for our highest and best, the universe, source will do it for us. And we need to trust it. And we need to learn to be okay with not necessarily knowing, again, going back to that analogy of the path ahead of us. We don't necessarily know where we're going, but we just need to know and to trust to take the next step. But without running. Now, let's not focus on the destination. Let's focus on the journey. So I think I'll leave it here. Thank you so much for being with me today. I hope there was a message here that you could take away. I would love to know how you are honoring the full moon, or the new moon and the full moon here in the here and now. Again, new moon in Pisces tomorrow, full moon in Virgo, eclipse, blood moon on March 14th. There's a lot here. And so I invite you to take care, stay healthy, drink enough water, take your vitamins, do some spiritual hygiene practices in the here and now. I think it's really important. That's definitely the message I'm also getting from my guides right now, is that spiritual hygiene is so important because there is so much heavy energy, and we will be getting so much energy that if we don't take an opportunity to protect ourselves from it, we could go in a path where the universe will have to step in with that eclipse with a big sword and cut something out that might feel a little bit uncomfy for a while. So with that, thank you, and nothing but love and light. Take care.